Hi, my name is Hayley. I am a graduate of the USC Social Work Program class of 2020, and I'm currently in San Francisco.
Hi, I'm Jessica, and I'm also a graduate of the class 2020. I'm working at a nonprofit that helps patients with acute mental health issues get treatment so that they don't go back to prison. And then I also am a consultant for another nonprofit working with their child development program.
So the video that we wanted to share with you today was actually inspired by a personal experience that I had at the beginning of the pandemic. I had gotten an internship and I was meeting with a patient, and my patient had told me Chinese people eat bats, that's why they have COVID. That was really unsettling for me to hear as someone who is Chinese American. And so I brought the situation to my supervisor, and I brought it to my peers, my professors, and I had a lack of response to what I had experienced. Um, and then I realized that as the pandemic was picking up and continuing to, we had our 2-week quarantine extend and just keep on going. I realized that a lot of anti-Asian sentiment was occurring in the country, and a lot of people were coming out and just being saying really harmful things to the Asian community. And so I wanted to create this documentary to give ourselves a space to be heard and be listened to, especially because at the time, the current president, who was President Trump, was calling it the Chinese virus. And I just felt that was wrong. And, we need to have an opportunity to be heard because that was really hurting the Asian community.
Absolutely. It really resonated with me as well. I'm Caucasian, but I had family members that are Asian, actually Chinese American, and when they were yelled at, lost their jobs because people were refusing to eat in Chinese restaurants, being harassed on the streets. I mean, this was in LA, and it was hurtful to watch and know it had nothing to do with them, and it was just blind hatred. So when I was working with Hayley, it felt great to be able to speak up and against what was happening.
And then another thing too about our video that was so special to us is we had actually created it for the media and social work class with Professor Angulo at the end of spring of 2020. So if there's anything that I could say to the API social work community at large, and to really honor Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, is that we have unique stories that are special and deserve to be heard. People are listening to us. People want to hear us talk, hear us speak, and we shouldn't be afraid to share those stories, and we shouldn't be afraid to speak up and be heard. And so take those opportunities to share, take those opportunities to do research on behalf of the API community, and really have your voice out there and be put out there because people are starting to listen to us, and it's so important, the things that we experience and the things that we have been through.
Yeah, absolutely. As an ally of the API community, I hope to continue assisting in advocacy and bringing awareness of the situation. And I want to thank you for all of the amazing work that you're doing and you're speaking up and your advocacy for your community and or allies of the community. So thank you.
And we hope you guys enjoy our film, our documentary. There's put a lot of work into it. We're very passionate about what we were able to create our film on, and we hope that it speaks volumes to you and that it really resonates with you, and that our stories are heard. So thank you.
Thank you.
In the past, humans have been plagued with the H1N1 virus and its mutated forms. the seasonal flu virus and its mutated forms, HIV, AIDS, cholera, the bubonic plague, yellow fever, Ebola, Zika, etc. These diseases that caused more than thousands of deaths were never once so blatantly pinned on a certain race.
So the virus is pretty scary. I think I'm not alone when I say that everyone's has a lot of anxiety right now.
Initially, I thought when I first heard the news of like a new coronavirus brewing in China, I thought it was like, oh, this could be pretty serious because it's similar to the SARS and I've like throughout my life I've lived in Hong Kong for a bit every year, just like every summer I would relocate to Hong Kong basically and live there. And so like I was actually in Hong Kong around the time the SARS was breaking out, so I kind of remembered that this was pretty serious. But they actually contained it pretty well and didn't really come to America. But then this time this new coronavirus was spreading a lot and like wildfire too. So
first and foremost, it's something I feel a lot of us, as not just as Americans, but people all over the world, never really imagined or prepared for. As you can see, it's affected many people around the world in their lives. Many have lost loved ones.
Well, as someone who's like in sports journalism, it's kind of like a very uncomfortable time for everyone, for athletes and anyone involved in sports media right now, because obviously sports have been canceled and we don't really know when it's going to come back. So that has definitely affected like my work schedule, type of content that I'm producing, but also opening up a lot of discussion on race, right? Like we had Trump saying that it was a Chinese virus when it came from China, but it almost put to blame that like all Chinese people caused this, and that's not the case.
And of course, one of the more troubling trends has to be the recent trend of racist attacks against Asian Americans, which has started long before this truly became a pandemic.
I feel really upset knowing that Donald Trump said that this was a Chinese virus. I feel like there is no reason that race has to be brought into this mess. And the fact that it originated in China has nothing to do with the virus itself.
The president has refused to accept responsibility for his actions, and his way of avoiding responsibility at first was blaming Asian Americans and Chinese Americans, and now that this issue has grown even more, now he's just totally said, it's not my responsibility.
There's always that like subconscious feeling that people are almost afraid just because you have an Asian face, but they don't really even know like who I am. And the most like ridiculous thing is that like I was born and raised in America. Like I don't feel that culturally connected to China, right? And like fundamentally I am American.
There are so many diseases that happen in different parts of the world. So should we blame those people in that country for this disease happening? No, I don't believe so. And the fact that this is a man who is supposed to be a leader and is supposed to help our country, that's what makes me even more irritated the most. I mean, we look up to, when we elect someone to run our country, it's someone we look up to because it's
Of course, Donald Trump is calling this the Chinese virus. It's nothing new. It's straight out of his playbook to blame another group and to target a certain ethnic group for a major issue. He's done it before with Latinos and Mexicans, and now he's doing it with Asians. And it's not out of the ordinary at this point in his administration, as he's done it countless times before. And of course, he's doing it for political reasons. It's not just to be a racist. It's to help, gain more favor with his base, who love the fact that they have the president embracing the racism that they feel, and continue to perpetuate the idea that, oh, this is the Chinese virus and we need to hate Asian people. And we already saw before Trump was even calling this the Chinese virus that people were completely avoiding Asian American businesses and starting to attack Asian Americans in the streets, you know, filming them in public and ridiculing them.
I hate Asians. Look, he said get the
Why do you keep calling this the Chinese virus? There are reports of dozens of incidents of bias against Chinese Americans in this country. Your own aide, Secretary Azar, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all, no, not at all. It comes from China.
And what's sad is like when this whole thing dies down and it becomes better, I feel like everybody in the world are going to have such different views of Chinese people in general or Asians in general. Such as like after this, will people now see Asians as a threat?
I think the biggest thing is that this is a test to see if not just like one ethnic group or one city or one country, but really a test to see if the whole world can work together to solve this problem. It's a time to act as a human race, to act as one world, and to really like to work together to help fight this invisible enemy. Because if we don't do that and we keep pointing fingers, we're wasting our time, because at this point there's no reason to blame anyone because it's already gotten so bad.
I want it to be known that, you know, as Asian Americans, we are not really much different than the rest of Americans. You know, we're all Americans. We're not like, we're from the same country, and I don't think we should really discriminate against us. We don't all have the virus. We're like probably equally likely to get exposed to the virus as the rest of Americans.
And I'm very, very proud to be Asian American.
I think that one of the things that my parents taught was like just to be proud of like who you are. And part of my identity is being Chinese American. It's not something that you can just like delete. It's something that's like ingrained in your DNA, and like you have to accept it. It's not a matter of do you want to or do you not want to.
So it's unique being Asian American in this time where it seems like our influence is really growing and people are looking at us more favorably, especially with people like Andrew Yang was running for president, and that was a huge accomplishment for Asian Americans politically.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud to be Asian American because it's pretty unique to have kind of both cultures intertwining with each other.
Just because I don't fluently speak or understand the language of either one of them doesn't mean I'm not damn proud to be an Asian American. I'm proud of my traditions, my culture, my beliefs, the food we cook, the values that come with being Asian American.
And I hope the world never forgets the great sacrifices that Chinese medical professionals like Dr. Li Wenliang have made, including laying down their lives to try and contain the virus from infecting other people.